Ahoy hoy, I'm Planet Walk, and it seems that whenever there's anything in the news about space, flat earthers immediately come out and say, this is fake, and I've got all these reasons why it's fake. See, NASA is lying to you, even if it has nothing to do with NASA, but NASA is lying to you. And with Richard Branson going to space on his Virgin Galactic flight, it was no difference. You know, I'm actually convinced at this point that NASA or SpaceX could just eject a whole lot of poop into space, and flat earthers would still find something to complain about there. So it should come as no surprise to anyone that one of the people who's complaining about Richard Branson going to space is Level Earth Observer. Who would have thunk it? It's not like he complains every time something like this happens. For those unaware, he complains every time something like this happens, in case you're not caught up.
The space tourism charade is being pushed big time at the moment. Later on today, Richard Branson launches in his Virgin space plane, supposedly to a height of approximately 55 miles. Then in 9 days' time, Jeff Bezos and his New Shepard rocket go even higher, over 60 miles.
Well, I'd say the reason why space tourism is being pushed is to get more people interested in it, because if you've got a whole lot of people interested in it, then that's a whole lot of potential customers that you can send into space, if they're willing to pay, of course.
Virgin have got the accolade, if you like, of having the first female to fly commercial space. That was Beth Moses from a couple of years ago. And there's a cracking promotion shot of Beth there, being blown away there by what she sees out the window. Again, very, very strange that Beth's not wearing any breathing apparatus whatsoever, and yet she's flying 3 times the height that the U-2 spy plane flies at, and we all know they need a spacesuit in case they lose cabin pressure.
So I've got to ask, why would she need a breathing apparatus? It's not like there's no oxygen in her environment. If there were no oxygen, then yeah, she would need a breathing apparatus. But there is oxygen in her environment. Now, LEO did mention that the reason why U-2 spy plane pilots wear spacesuits is in case of depressurization. Now, granted that if you have depressurization going on, there will be a lack of oxygen. But if the cabin remains pressurized, you don't really need a spacesuit. Now, there is a bit more to it than that, but we're going to get to that soon.
But no, Beth has a charade to sell, a product, a supposed product to sell.
So I just want to point out that obviously she's trying to sell a product, but the thing is, it'd be kind of hard to sell a product that isn't real and not expect people to find out that the product that you're selling isn't real.
When essentially she's selling the lie of the globe. Hence we get this silly, over-the-top publicity shot. Otherwise, Beth would be looking something like this. The U-2 pilot in his spacesuit to protect him should he lose cabin pressure. But of course Beth is selling a product, so that's no good if you can't see her face. So she's exempt from dangerous situations. Clearly ridiculous.
So the big question here that LEO is wondering is, why doesn't she have a spacesuit? And the answer is, it's space tourism. You know, what's the main thing that tourists like to do? That is, have fun. And it's kind of hard to have fun when you got a bulky spacesuit on. In fact, there's a book titled Virgin Galactic, The First 10 Years. You can find it online, and on page 105, it talks all about decompression and why they don't wear spacesuits. The book goes into detail on the reasons why passengers do not wear pressurized suits, why the risk of depressurization is actually rather low, and what actually happens in the case of a depressurization event. It's not like this stuff hasn't been thought about. All you have to do is do a little bit of research and you'll find out, why wasn't she wearing a spacesuit? Oh, it's so she can have fun, and so that they didn't have to spend a whole lot of money on training her to be able to actually wear a spacesuit.
And then of course in 9 days time we've got Jeff Bezos and the New Shepard rocket, which if we just look back at the test run, which is going to be an example and it's supposedly the exact template which the people are doing in 9 days time, it just exposes this nonsense even more. These are screenshots from the successful test run of the Blue Origin rocket, which Jeff Bezos, his brother and some others fly in 9 days time supposedly. I blended one image from the ground one image from 60 plus miles, which these people are supposedly going, and strangely enough, you see the same curvature at ground level that you do 60 miles up.
Okay, so there's two things to point out here. First is it's very difficult to see curvature of any kind when you can only see a small part of the horizon. You're just going to have a hard time finding curvature that way. It would be kind of like me asking you to identify which part of my face you are looking at by only showing you a small part of the video. By the way, it was my hand that you were looking at, not my face. My point is, if you take a small section of the horizon, it's not going to show as much curvature as if you were to look at the entire horizon. But the second thing is far more interesting. Notice how far the horizon has dropped in that second image LEO? Isn't the horizon meant to rise to eye level? Honestly, the ability of flat earthers to debunk their own arguments when they think that they're debunking the globe is absolutely astounding.
But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15-degree-per-hour drift.
No, Bob, we haven't forgotten you, but thanks for reminding us.
So I've got to ask, what's the point of all this? Obviously, it's to push the globe, which of course is scientifically impossible. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to deal with this nonsense daily and this big push with space tourism.
Or maybe some people have thought, what if we can make money by sending people to space? But first, we just need to get people interested. But I did mention earlier that LEO was only one of the flat earthers that was talking about this. We've got another flat earther by the name of Flatty McFlatface that decided to make a video about this.
To all you kids down there, I was once a child with a dream, looking up to the stars. Now I'm an adult in a spaceship with lots of other wonderful adults looking down to our beautiful, beautiful Earth. To the next generation of dreamers, if we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this.
So there's a bit of a problem with saying flat horizon there. The problem is that the horizon there isn't flat, it's actually curved. It's just not curved in the way that most people would expect if the Earth is a globe. And that actually tells us quite a bit about what's going on here. Obviously there's some kind of distortion going on, most likely fisheye distortion. But of course Flatty McFlatface forgets to show this piece of footage, which clearly shows that the Earth is curved. That really does not look like a bubble to me. It looks more like a fleck of paint has come off than anything. It seems like flat earthers have become so obsessed with bubbles in space that anything that comes off of a spacecraft, they just say that it's a bubble now. So let me get this straight. You've tried to claim that a curved horizon is flat, you've omitted footage of a curved horizon like how we'd expect if the Earth were a globe, and now we're taking footage from an altitude of 20,000 feet, which is lower than any commercial aircraft flies, and we're saying that the horizon is flat and eye level from that. It's almost as if he's cherry-picking little bits and pieces to make it seem as though Richard Branson's flight proved that the Earth is flat when it actually didn't. But flat earthers would never be that dishonest, right? I also find it really weird how there's this, it did happen and it showed that the Earth was flat, but it was also filmed underwater and that's why we see bubbles. Like, did it happen or did it not happen? Which one are you going to go with? Oh, and as a small kicker, Flatty McFlatface demonstrated his ignorance brilliantly by leaving a comment saying, "Why can't I see stars and planets?" You know, the thing that has been explained by the fact that stars are very dim, the planet and the sun are very bright, and exposure is a thing that exists on cameras. Might want to look into that. But anyway, that's it for today. Leave a like and subscribe if you liked that video. Make sure you ring the bell notification so that you actually get notified of when I post new videos. As always, a big shout out to my $20 or more patrons. What Jesus, Hugh Jarsz, M.C.Nutkin, Jane Spade, Wolfie, Morrie, Graymore Ghost, KidVicious, and Sacha Campbell. If you want to support me financially, you can do so on Patreon. There will be a link right there. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, thank you for watching.
I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space!
Well, looks like it's too late to do that now.